There is a silence that belongs only to the dead. It is not the silence of an empty room or a quiet library or a sleeping house. It is heavier. It is final. When you work with the living, there is always potential. A heartbeat can quicken, a voice can rise. But when you work with the dead, the silence is absolute. Or at least, that is what we are told. That is what I believed before I took the job at the county medical examiner's office in Detroit. People assume morgues are scary places. They think of horror movies, of chainsaws and madness. But the reality is much quieter. It is clinical. It is clean. It smells of formaldehyde, bleach, and cold steel. It is a place of respect. We are the custodians of the final transition. We ensure that the deceased are handled with dignity until they can be returned to their families. That was what I told myself when I accepted the position. I needed the money, I needed the stability, and I thought I could handle the cold. My name is Thomas. I'm 34 years old. I worked as a morgue attendant for 3 years before I quit. I don't put it on my resume. I don't talk about it at parties. When people ask what I do, I say I work in logistics. It's easier than explaining that I spent my nights sliding metal drawers in a basement that was kept at 34 degrees Fahrenheit. The job was simple. Receive the bodies from the coroner's van, log them into the system, place them in the refrigeration units, maintain the temperature logs, clean the tables, ensure the security systems were active. It was a night shift position, midnight to 8 a.m., alone, except for the security guard who patrolled the perimeter of the building but never came into the morgue itself. The supervisor, a man named Mr. Henderson, gave me the orientation on my first day. He was a large man with hands that looked like they had carved stone. He showed me the logs, he showed me the keys, and he showed me the rules. There were only 3 rules, typed on a single sheet of paper and laminated. Rule 1, always wear gloves when handling the remains. Rule 2, log every entry and exit immediately, no exceptions. Rule 3, do not open drawer 14 under no circumstances. I asked him about Rule 3. I laughed, actually. I thought it was a joke, a hazing ritual for the new guy. Drawer 14. Why not 13? Why 14? Henderson didn't laugh. He looked at me with a seriousness that made the air in the room feel colder. He said, Drawer 14 is reserved for special cases, cases that are not ready for release, cases that are unstable. You do not open it. You do not look at it. You do not acknowledge it. If the temperature alarm goes off for that unit, you call me. You do not touch it. I nodded. I thought he was eccentric. Every old building has its quirks. Every job has its forbidden zones. I didn't think much of it. I didn't know that drawer 14 was not a storage unit. It was a cage, and I was the zookeeper. I started the job on a Monday. The first week was uneventful, boring even. The cold got to me, but I bought better thermal underwear. The smell got to me, but I got used to the chemical tang. I felt safe. I felt like I was in control. I was wrong. The control was an illusion. The dead do not stay still forever. And the things that are put in drawer 14, they do not stay dead at all. The incident happened on the 12th night. It was a Tuesday. Rain was hammering against the high windows of the basement. The power flickered once, just for a second, but the backup generators kicked in immediately. I was sitting at the desk, filling out the temperature log. The hum of the refrigeration units was the only sound, a steady rhythmic drone, like the building was breathing. At 2 a.m., I heard it. A sound that did not belong. A scrape. Metal on metal. coming from the wall of drawers. I stopped writing. I held my pen still. I listened. The hum of the units continued, but underneath it there was something else, a slow grinding noise, like a drawer being pushed out from the inside. I stood up. I walked toward the wall of units. There were 20 drawers in total, 2 columns of 10. Drawer 14 was on the bottom row, second from the right. It was closed. The latch was engaged. The green light on the panel above it was on, temperature stable. I told myself it was the building settling. Metal expands and contracts in the cold. Pipes groan. I went back to the desk. I sat down. I picked up my pen. Scrape. Louder this time, definitely from the wall. I stood up again. I walked closer. I shined my flashlight at the drawers. They were all closed, all latched, all silent. I checked the log. No bodies had been moved that night. No deliveries were scheduled. I was the only one in the room. I went back to the desk. I tried to work. I tried to focus on the numbers, but I could feel it. The pressure in the room had changed. The air was heavier. The smell of formaldehyde was stronger, mixed with something else, something sweet, like rotting flowers. At 3 a.m., the temperature alarm beeped, just once, a sharp, high-pitched sound that cut through the silence. I looked at the monitor. All zones were green, except Zone 4, Drawer 14. The temperature was rising, 35 degrees, 36, 37. I remembered Henderson's rule. If the temperature alarm goes off for that unit, you call me. I picked up the phone. I dialed his number. It went straight to voicemail. I left a message. Mr. Henderson, this is Thomas. Zone 4 alarm is triggering. Temperature rising. Requesting instructions. I hung up. I waited. The temperature kept climbing. 39, 40. I looked at the drawer. The metal was frosted with condensation, but now the frost was melting. A trickle of water ran down the front of the steel. It looked like sweat. I knew I shouldn't. I knew the rule, but I was responsible for the remains. If there was a mechanical failure, the body could degrade. It was my duty to preserve them. I told myself I was just checking the seal. I wasn't opening it, just checking. I walked to the wall. I stood in front of Drawer 14. I put my hand on the latch. It was cold, freezing, but I could feel a vibration, a faint hum coming from inside the metal box. Not the hum of the machine, a different hum, a biological hum. I pulled the latch. It didn't move. It was locked, not by the electronic system, by something from the inside. I pulled harder. The metal groaned. The vibration increased. Then, a voice, not from the phone, not from the hallway, from the drawer. Let me out. I dropped my hand. I stumbled back. My heart was hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. I told myself it was the wind. I told myself it was the pipes, but I knew what I heard. I went back to the desk. I packed my bag. I was leaving. I didn't care about the job. I didn't care about the money. I walked to the door. I pushed the bar. It was locked, electronically secured. I swiped my badge. Access denied. I was locked in with them.
I pounded on the door. I yelled for the security guard. No answer. The building was silent again. The rain outside was the only sound. I was trapped in the basement of the morgue. I went back to the desk. I needed to think. I needed to figure out what was happening. I opened the logbook, the physical one, not the digital system. I flipped back through the pages. I wanted to see the history of Drawer 14. The entries were sparse. Most dates were blank. But there were entries, going back 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. The handwriting changed, but the content was the same. Received, unidentified, condition unstable, placement, drawer 14. Temperature fluctuation, no action taken. Auditory anomaly reported, ignored. There were no release dates, no coroner signatures, no family pickup logs. Bodies went in, nothing came out. I turned the page. There was a note tucked into the binding, a sticky note, yellowed with age. It had a name on it, Henderson, and a phone number, but not the one I had called, a different one. I dialed the number on the sticky note. It rang once, twice, 3 times. "You shouldn't have called," a voice said. It was Henderson, but he didn't sound like himself. He sounded tired, resigned. "I'm locked in," I said. "The door won't open. The alarm is going off. I heard something." "You opened the latch," he said. It wasn't a question. "I didn't open it. I just touched it. It's locked from the inside." "They lock themselves," Henderson said. "When they wake up, they lock themselves in to keep the cold in, to keep the others out." "What are you talking about?" I demanded. "Who is in there?" "No one. No one. Everyone. It is a collection, Thomas. We do not store bodies in 14. We store conditions. Conditions that should not exist. Conditions that violate the protocol of death." "I'm leaving," I said. "Unlock the door." "I can't," he said. "The system is automated now. It knows you touched the latch. It has initiated containment. You are part of the log now." "What does that mean?" I yelled. "Let me out." "Stay calm," he said. "Do not open the drawer. If you open the drawer, the temperature equalizes. If the temperature equalizes, they all wake up. Not just 14, all of them." I looked at the wall of drawers. 20 units. 19 of them were silent. One was vibrating. "What do I do?" I asked. My voice was shaking. "Heaped. Wait until morning. The sun resets the sensors. The locks will disengage at 6 a.m. Just don't open the drawer and don't listen to them." "Listen to who?" I asked. "The others. 14 is loud, but the others, they whisper. Don't listen." He hung up. I stood there holding the phone. The dial tone buzzed at my ear. I lowered the phone. I looked at the wall. The vibration had stopped. The temperature on the monitor was dropping. 40 degrees, 39, 38. It was stabilizing. I sat at the desk. I waited. 4 a.m., 5 a.m. The rain stopped. The building was silent. I thought maybe it was over. Maybe I could make it to 6 a.m. At 5:30 a.m., I heard the whispering. It started softly, like the wind under a door, but there was no wind. It was coming from the drawers. Drawer 1, drawer 2, drawer 3, all along the wall. Cold, dark, open. I put my hands over my ears. I closed my eyes. Don't listen, I told myself. Don't listen. Thomas. My name from drawer 7. I opened my eyes. I looked at drawer 7. The light was green, temperature stable, but the voice was clear. It sounded like a woman. "Thomas, help us." I stood up. I walked toward the wall. I knew I shouldn't. I knew it was a trap, but it was a human voice. It was asking for help. "Who are you?" I asked. "Jane Doe. Jane Doe." I can't open the drawers. The system is locked." "Break it," it said. "Break the glass." I looked at the control panel. There was an emergency override key. It was in a glass box on the wall. "Break in case of emergency." I looked at the drawer. I looked at the key. I thought about Henderson. I thought about the rule. Do not open drawer 14. He didn't say anything about the others. I took the fire axe from the safety rack. I swung it at the glass box. The glass shattered. I grabbed the key. I walked to drawer 7. I inserted the key. I turned it. The latch clicked. The light turned red. I pulled the handle. The drawer slid open. It was empty. There was no body, no sheet, no remains, just the stainless steel tray, cold, empty. But the voice continued, "Thank you." It wasn't coming from the drawer. It was coming from behind me. I turned around. The room was empty, but the temperature was dropping fast. My breath was visible in the air. The monitor showed all zones dropping, 30 degrees, 20, 10. The refrigeration units were overworking. They were trying to compensate for something, but what? I heard the sound again, the scrape, metal on metal. But this time, it wasn't from one drawer. It was from all of them. 20 drawers, all sliding, all opening. I ran to the corner of the room. I held the axe. I waited for them to come out. But no one came out. The drawers stopped halfway. They hovered there, open mouths of steel, waiting. The lights flickered. Then they went out. Emergency lights kicked in, red. The whole room was bathed in red. I heard footsteps, wet, slapping footsteps on the tile, coming from the hallway. The security guard? No, the security guard didn't have keys. The door to the morgue opened. Henderson walked in. He was wearing a hazmat suit, full coverage, mask, gloves. He looked at me. He looked at the open drawers. He shook his head. "You broke the protocol," he said. His voice was muffled by the mask. "I thought what they're calling me. They said they were in pain." "They are not in pain. They are in transition, and you interrupted it." "What is this place? What's in the drawers?" "Potential. Death is not a state. It is a door, and some doors should remain closed." He walked to the control panel. He typed in a code. The drawers slammed shut all at once, a loud bang that echoed through the room. The lights came back on. The temperature normalized. "Your shift is over," he said. "Go home. Do not come back tomorrow." "Am I fired?" I asked. "No, you are retired. There is a difference." He handed me an envelope. "Severance. Sign the NDA. Forget this happened." I took the envelope. I didn't sign it. I ran past him. I ran up the stairs. I ran out of the building. I didn't stop until I got to my car.
I cashed the check. I needed the money, but I didn't sign the NDA. I kept it. I thought maybe I could use it. Maybe I could expose them. I went home, showered, scrubbed my skin until it was raw. I couldn't get the smell off me, the smell of formaldehyde and rotting flowers. I tried to sleep, but every time I closed my eyes, I heard the whispering, cold, dark, open. I woke up at 2 a.m., the time I heard the scrape. I sat up, I listened. My house was silent, but then I heard it, a scrape, coming from my closet. I turned on the light. I opened the closet door. My clothes were hanging there, nothing else. But the temperature in the room dropped. I could see my breath. I called the police. I told them I was being harassed. I told them about the morgue. They came to my house. They checked the locks. They checked the windows. They found nothing. "It's stress," the officer said. "Job fatigue. You need a rest." They left. I sat on my couch. I looked at the envelope. I opened it. Inside was the check and a photo. It was a Polaroid. It showed me sleeping in my bed, taken from the corner of the ceiling, like a security camera, but there were no cameras in my bedroom. On the back of the photo, written in black marker, "We know where you sleep." I packed a bag. I left my house. I stayed at a motel. I paid cash. I didn't give my name. I thought I was safe, but the next night I got a call. Unknown number. I answered. "Drawer 14, the voice said. "It's empty now." "What do you want?" I asked. "A trade," the voice said. "1 for 1. You open the door. You must close it." "I don't know what that means," I said. "Come back," the voice said. "Bring the key. Bring the axe. Bring yourself." The line went dead. I knew I couldn't go back, but I knew I couldn't stay. They were watching me. They knew where I was. I decided to investigate. I needed to know what the morgue was. I went to the library. I searched the public records. I looked up the county medical examiner's office. I found the building permits. The morgue was built in 1970, but there were renovations in 1980, 1990, 2000. Each time the square footage increased, but the building didn't get bigger. The extra space was internal, hidden spaces. I found a newspaper article from 1985, local mortuary accused of unethical practices. The article was short. It mentioned a whistleblower, a former attendant. He claimed bodies were being used for experiments. The case was dismissed. The attendant disappeared. I found his name, Robert Miller. I searched for him. No records, no birth certificate, no social security activity. He vanished. I found a forum for mortuary workers, anonymous posts. One post stood out. "Have you ever worked in a unit with a drawer 14? The replies were chilling. "Don't talk about it." They listened. "It's not for bodies. It's for storage." I realized this wasn't just one morgue. It was a system, a network. There were other facilities, other drawers, other attendants. I went back to my house. I needed my records, my research. I broke in. The locks had been changed, but I knew a way in, the back window. I climbed through. The house was cold, too cold. I turned on the lights. They didn't work. I used my flashlight. I went to my office. The files were gone. My computer was gone. But on my desk, there was a single item, a morgue tag, the plastic kind, the one they tie around the toe. It had my name on it, Thomas, date of birth, my social security number, and the drawer number, 14. I heard the sound, the scrape, coming from the hallway. I ran. I grabbed the tag. I ran out the window. I didn't look back. I went to the police again. I showed them the tag. I showed them the photo. They took it seriously this time. They said they would investigate the morgue. They sent a team. They raided the facility. I waited at the station. I waited for the news. 2 hours later, the team returned. They looked shaken. The captain walked up to me. "There is no drawer 14. "What?" I asked. "We counted the units," he said. "There are only 19. The wall ends at 13. Then it goes to 15. There is no 14. "I saw it," he said. "I touched it. I heard it." "The logs are clean," he said. "No record of any anomaly. No record of Henderson locking you in. The security footage shows you sitting at the desk all night, alone, talking to yourself." "That's not true," I said. "He was there. He wore a hazmat suit." "There was no hazmat suit. Thomas, you need help. You're hallucinating." They let me go. They said I wasn't under arrest, but they said I shouldn't go back to the morgue. They said I should seek medical attention. I knew I wasn't crazy. I knew what I saw, but I had no proof. The tag was gone. It vanished from my pocket when I got to the station. The photo was gone. The envelope was gone. I was alone, and I was being hunted. I left the city.
I moved to a different state. I changed my name. I got a job in construction, outside, in the sun. I wanted to be as far away from the cold as possible. For a year, I was safe. No whispers, no scrapes, no cold spots. I thought I had escaped. I thought the system had lost me. But last month, I started getting mail. Envelopes with no return address. Inside were morgue logs, pages from the book I saw in the basement. My name was on them. Thomas, admitted. Date, last week. I burned them. I changed my address, but the mail followed me. I realized then that Henderson was right. I was part of the log now. Once you enter the system, you don't leave. You can change your name, you can change your face, but you can't change your record. I decided to go back. I needed to end it. I needed to find drawer 14. I needed to close it. I drove to Detroit. I went to the morgue. It was abandoned. The building was condemned. The windows were boarded up. The sign was gone. I broke in. I went to the basement. The room was empty. No desks, no units, no drawers, just concrete walls. But in the center of the room, there was a single metal drawer, sitting on the floor, not installed, just sitting there. It was labeled 14. I walked to it. I put my hand on the latch. It was cold, freezing. I heard a voice. Thomas. It was my voice, coming from the drawer. You are ready. I realized the truth. Drawer 14 wasn't for the dead. It was for the living. It was for the witnesses. They don't kill you. They store you. They keep you in the cold, where you can't age, where you can't speak, where you can't tell. I was never meant to leave that night. I was meant to be logged, but I ran. And now they were collecting. I heard footsteps behind me. Henderson. He wasn't wearing a hazmat suit this time. He was wearing a suit, a business suit. You came back, he said. I want out, I said. You are out, he said. You just don't know it yet. He handed me a pen and a logbook. Sign, he said. Voluntary admission. It's easier than forced retrieval. No, I said. Then we will take you, he said. And we will take everyone you love. Your sister, your mother, your friends. They will all get a tag. They will all get a drawer. I looked at the pen. I looked at the drawer. I looked at him. I took the pen. I signed the book. Good, he said. Now, get in. No, I said. I sign, but I don't get in. I take the job. Henderson smiled. There is no job, Thomas. There is only the collection. He stepped toward me. I swung the axe. I didn't hit him. I hit the drawer. I smashed the lock. I smashed the mechanism. Sparks flew. The hum stopped. The coal vanished. Henderson screamed, not in pain, in anger. You broke it. You broke the seal. The wall shook. The concrete cracked. I ran. I ran up the stairs. I ran out of the building. I didn't look back. I don't know what happened. I don't know if I destroyed it. I don't know if I made it worse. I'm telling you this because I need you to know. If you work in a morgue, if you work in a hospital, if you work in any place where the dead are kept, check the numbers. Count the drawers. Count the beds. Count the rooms. If the numbers don't add up, leave. Do not open drawer 14. Do not answer the call. Do not sign the log. I am still running. I still get the mail. The logs are still coming. My name is still on them. But I am not in the drawer. Not yet. I sleep with the lights on. I sleep with the heat on. I sleep with a weapon by my bed because I know they are coming. I know they need a replacement. I broke the seal. They need a new attendant. And if you're listening to this, if you're looking for a job, if you see an ad for a night shift attendant, don't apply. Because the dead don't need attendants. They need keepers. And the keepers never leave. I hear the scrape again. It's outside my door. It's tonight. I have to go. I have to pack. Remember the rules. Respect the dead, but fear the system. And if you hear a drawer open, don't look. Just run.